Hello, everybody. I want to welcome you tonight. It's episode 51 of Compass Games Live. It's March 18th, 2021. I hope everybody's having a great week. It's a pleasure to be here with you again. I'm still recovering actually from the town hall meeting we had a week ago today. I'd say the biggest, strongest showing of questions we've. I was barraged. Got the barrage of questions. You guys were awesome with your questions, so really appreciate that. And I'd like to do something a little bit different if I can today. Always curious if we ever have any new first-time guests joining us for our Compass Games live session. This is actually number 51, so I don't know if there is going to be anybody new, but if you happen to have joined us and this is your first Compass Games live, if you could post a comment, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube, just post in the comments live stream section that this is your first time. You are being very brave to be here. I would like to recognize you, and I'll come back and I'll check the post. So yeah, just say you're a newbie or first time, whatever you want to say, and we'll recognize you to thank you for being here. And of course, we're going to have a very special episode this evening. We're going to be welcoming Kerry Anderson. I'm sure a lot of you might be familiar with Kerry Anderson's design work. He's been involved in design for many, many years, and we're going to get to know him a little bit better tonight. And obviously, we're going to be focusing on his new release, The Battle of Armageddon. So really looking forward to doing that tonight. So let's see here. So I want to also recognize Dorn Scott. So thank you, Dorn, joining us from Facebook. So probably from our Facebook Compass Games page. So thank you, Dorn, for being here. It's great to have you. You'll see things are pretty informal and crazy here as we go. So I hope everybody will take a moment to welcome Dorn. And Dorn, you won't see the YouTube comments probably, but if you watch the recording on YouTube, you'll see the folks on YouTube live right now that are welcoming you to Compass Games Live. So thanks for being here. It's great to have you. So what I'd like to do is quickly jump into our schedule. So we're going to visit our webpage just for a moment, our new homepage, and just want to talk a little bit about the product pipeline snapshot. It was updated just before the town hall meeting last Thursday night with Bill Thomas. You'll see the schedule on the left. This is reflecting actual changes that Bill announced during the town hall session. So actually, I believe on Friday, the next day, this update actually, yes, it did happen on the next day, March 12th. I see is the date here listed. So we shuffled the schedule a little bit. We bumped up Korean War back into April. The lamps are going out, which a lot of folks have been asking about. That's going to be released right around the end of this month. So we have Bill Thomas next Thursday. We'll see. Actually, then I'll ask him, is the game shipping now? But he was really sort of saying, let's pick the end of March to be that date that lamps ships. Also, Bill decided through your positive pressure, so in the community, big push saying we want Indian Ocean region now. We don't want to wait for the South China Sea reprint to happen. So Bill committed to getting Indian Ocean region out in April. And then the South China Sea reprint you'll see is scheduled down in June. And again, these are like sister games to each other. And Bill had the thought maybe the two should be together because a lot of people won't have South China Sea yet and they can ship together. But your voices were heard, and Bill is following your guidance and counsel and moved up Indian Ocean region to April. We're happy to have Gregory Smith on tonight. Greg, thanks for joining us. I'm sure we have some other designers as well. We've got Greg's Defending America is going to be out in June, so we're very much looking forward to that. And again, if you have any questions about the schedule that you see here, the release schedules on the left. On the right side, you see our 5 most recent releases, and we're going to talk about Battle of Armageddon here in a moment as we welcome Kerry Anderson. Last 2 things I want to mention is, yes, we sent out the newsletter. Newsletter went out today. If you want to sign up for our newsletter, you'll see it in the header. We will send an email just once a week so we won't overrun your inbox. And then the Talk to Us button's right here. So if you click on that, you can send a text, audio, or video message my way, and I'll respond to you. I have noticed as of late, just a quick tip, especially if you've done this for the first time, when you reach out to Compass via the Talk to Us here where I'm waving at you, you want to make sure you put in your email address, because I've received some questions from people, but unfortunately, if you don't enter an email address, there's no way I can reply to you. I don't even know who submitted the question, to be honest, especially when they're in text. So if you really want to be, if you want to get a response for the Talk to Us, make sure you just put in your email address, and that way I can actually respond to you. Also, if you have any sales questions about order fulfillment, status of your order, just general questions for our back office, you want to send those to sales@compassgames.com as an email. I'm going to be your horrible middleman. I don't have access to back office or the order shipping system, so I can't help you there. So anything like order status or problems with ordering, you want to send an email to sales@compassgames.live. So without further ado, I think we've covered the bases there. What I'd like to do now is let's get to the show, top of our show. Let's get right into it. So we're going to bring in and welcome Kerry Anderson here. Kerry, how are you doing this evening? Late afternoon for you.
I am doing well. It's 5 o'clock in beautiful British Columbia right now.
All right. We got Canada in the house tonight. Awesome. It's great to have you. This is, I believe, the first time I've had you on as a guest. Is that correct? This is
that is true.
It's taken me this long? Well, that's not good.
No, I'm heartbroken.
Well, just to let you know, I'm going to give you forewarning, Kerry, that the folks we have online, we're approaching 100 here. They're pretty good at asking a lot of questions. So if I look a little relaxed right now, I've got a little drink handy, it's because I know there's going to be a lot of questions coming your way tonight. So my job's going to get really easy really fast. So and that's my tip of the hat to that's my tip of the hat to the crew online to get your questions ready for Kerry, and we'll start posting your comments and questions for him. In the meantime, let's start with an introduction of who Kerry Anderson is. So Kerry, why don't you give us a little bit background, including your introduction to gaming, of course.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've been playing games ever since I was a kid, and certainly played Risk and Stratego and stuff like that. Kind of got into gaming, was Blitzkrieg was the first game I played. A buddy of mine bought it, and yeah, we played that to death.
I love that game. That was one of the first games I played with my brother before he left the hobby on me. But I love that game.
No, I was mesmerized. I couldn't quite figure out though, what were these TV sets with these two antennas on top? That's supposed to be a tank division. I mean, what the heck is this? But it was great.
And then, didn't you do some work for a Blitzkrieg module? Like I had heard something about you doing.
Yeah, actually, good point. Yeah, I've been doing these counter production for the last few years, and I actually got involved with Thaddeus Blanchett, I think from Brazil, was doing a 50th anniversary version of Blitzkrieg. And he asked me to do these counters, so I helped him with them, and we produced 5 sheets of counters for the game.
Wow!
And
5 sheets.
Out of honor, they named a bay on the Blitzkrieg map after me. So I was really flattered.
They named the bay after you on the map. They actually changed.
Yeah,
the name of the bay.
You know, Great Blue on the left-hand side is separated into a north and south. Well, that bay that separates the two sections they named Anderson Bay. So
Anderson Bay, that's like a collector's item. That's like if somebody can get this module. So maybe we have to find out how to. What's the name of the module? Do you know what the name of it is?
Well, was it Blitz World, I think, or something
Blitz
like
World. So if I get a copy, I can have you autograph the Anderson Bay for me.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Happy to.
Well, let's do this. Before we get into the Battle of Armageddon, which we'll talk about here in a moment, I always ask designers how they made the jump or leap into game design, and I've always got a wide range of answers. Typical answer, I have to say, is that they've tinkered with games, doing like little things like house rules, and turns into playtesting, turns into a development gig, and then they decided, I want to do something on my own now, but I know you've been designing for some time, so I'm really curious. How did you get into game design?
That's an interesting story. I mean, even before Blitzkrieg, I mean, I was like 10, 12 years old. I don't know. We were making games with like on big sheets of newsprint. We had the solar system mapped out, and we used to make spaceships out of Lego and roll dice, and we did all sorts of things like that. But when I started playing hex and counter games, I moved into actually made my first game. It was called Solar Imperialism. I sent
Solar
it
Imperialism. Now, has that been published, or was that on your
well,
own?
yes
Just
and
on your
no.
own for fun.
I sent it to Metagamings, and they said thanks, but no thanks. Then I later on published it as the Final Frontier.
Final
But
Frontier.
it was Marine 2002 that actually was my first game that I got published. I was a
that was
19.
Yaquinto, wasn't that Yaquinto?
Yes,
Stephen
Yaquinto.
P. Craig Taylor.
Yeah, Steve P. Craig Taylor. Yeah, those guys took the game. They turned it inside out, but they made it a far better game than what I sent them. But
So how old were you when you had your first published game there by Yaquinto? That was in the early 80s, right? Or late 70s?
I was 1970. It was 1980, I think it got published, or
1980? Okay. And you were 19?
Yeah, I was a starving student in university. I think I spent my last penny out of the bank account, and then all of a sudden this royalty check for $600 comes in the mail. I was like,
holy smokes.
Oh,
man, at 19, you probably got some good dates out of that one. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Popular big man on campus with the space game. So that's awesome.
Yeah, Blitzkrieg, Marine 2002. What else to say? Been involved in the hobby ever since.
I think maybe Ray might have the game behind him. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll have to confirm that. But yeah, I might have that game as well. I have to check my Yaquinto. I can't remember if that was an album game.
No, that was the box game.
It was a box game. Okay, awesome. Welcome, Mo. Great to have Mo. I always like to announce when Mo's here. And yeah, Joe, I totally agree with Joe here. So Joe's another great designer, obviously.
Hey, Joe, how you doing?
You need to. It reminds me of an old story. I was at Origins in San Jose, and I went up with Harry Rowland, and I hope it's okay to mention names, with Harry Rowland, Ole Blenneman, Jack Green, and this was in the 80s, and yeah, the weed was in the house, and had great conversations, and that was a lot of fun. So.
Oh, yeah.
I think we have to have a conversation if weed actually enables game design. I think Joe Yaus is going to lead a seminar session on the effects of weed on game design and mechanics. Asymmetrical, if it makes it more asymmetrical, perhaps.
Back in my college days, let's say it added to command control.
Added to command. And didn't detract
command
from command
control. You didn't need those random who panics. You just forget about an entire front,
I had a friend who had War in the Pacific from SPI, and he was going to UNLV. And when the game was released, on many, many years ago, obviously in the 80s or whatever, but they did Saki bomber shots during the Pearl Harbor beginning of the campaign. And he said they didn't get too far after that, based on every, sinking. They were taking a Saki shot, and they didn't get far that night. It was, but it was a very fun night, he said.
Yeah.
It was a very good night. So, okay, we were off on a tangent. That's Joe's fault. I'm going to blame Joe for that tangent, but yeah, that will be for a different session. We'll do that, promoting for game design techniques. So, but you've done a lot of other things too, because for example, when I'm on the Consum World forum, I see SPI Wrecking Yard, and I see you do these other things, and maybe it's even on eBay, but you seem to have got into like creating counters for games already published and all that. Can you talk about these other things you do besides game design?
Certainly. I think it was John Cooper was the one that kind of made the connection that you could take this school die cutting machine that Ellison produced, and he designed a tray, a template to actually punch counters. Once he demonstrated that, I said, "Oh, I got to have one of those." So I went out and bought one, and had it. Suddenly a whole new world opened up to me. I started redesigning counters for all these old SPI games. I had such a hoot, and then I started selling these, and then it kind of took over my life. But I've kind of backed off from that now. But certainly the Wrecking Yard was, I guess, another thing. I just had so much SPI parts and stuff like that. I just started buying and selling and making.
It was great for the older games too, because I remember like you would come to Consum World Expo and you would have one or two big cardboard like banker boxes. You would have your banker boxes back by the flea market tables, and I would even come up there and for the old SPI, what was it, the Ancients game, like press tags and all those older games, or the World War II games back then, Stalingrad, Kursk, and all those. You had all those, and the counters were great. But I'll tell you the best one you did. I think this is the best one you did because it was so needed. And especially because we can't get from Wizards of the Coast Hasbro. They don't talk to anybody about. We can't get rights from them. They just won't give us any time of day. But it's Hell's Highway. The counters to Hell's Highway. If anybody has Hell's Highway, it's one of the greatest games I think designed. And those bloody counters, that small type on that little half inch with the even smaller type, and you had the counters for Hell's Highway, and that was awesome.
Hold on to that thought. It was actually Chris Fawcett that designed those counters. I can't take credit for the redesign.
But it came through you. At least I saw you had it. I bought it through you. At least I
yes,
think.
he takes full credit for the artwork on those. I only just recently bought the game, so I had no experience with it. But he redesigned those counters, and I just started mounting and punching them for him. And it's scary to think how many copies of those I've sold.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wish we could get Hell's Highway. I think if we had rights to Hell's Highway to redo it, man, just for the counter problem alone, it'd be a huge blockbuster success. So you're not doing as much of the selling of the parts as much anymore because you're sort of semi-retired now, I believe, or you're almost.
I 31 years with Natural Resources Canada / Canadian Forest Service, and I pulled the plug there, and I've still carried on. Doing work for Environment Canada, modeling. Smoke plumes. My background's in meteorology, studying forest fires, hence the reason why I designed smoke jumpers. It was just, it's very flattering when you retire and people are actually reaching out to you and trying to bring you back into the loop.
Absolutely.
It's very rewarding.
So when was that photo taken that's behind you? I noticed there's a forest fire photo behind you.
Yes, that was my retirement present.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Look at that!
That was a forest fire in Alberta, and so they mounted it, made a framed picture of it, and gave it to me. Yes.
What a very nice, touching gift. That's very cool. And you did a game based on forest fires called what's the name of the?
Smoke Jumpers.
Smoke Jumpers. Now, has that been published through you as Microgame Design?
This is all kind of Microgame Design Group, so I sell my own product there that way.
Wow,
I've been doing that for quite a while.
Well, let's do this. I want to jump into sort of as a tease, and again, for folks, get ready to get your questions ready about Battle for Armageddon, and I want to ask people, too, if you own Battle for Armageddon, if you've recently picked up or received the Compass Games edition, or ordered it recently, please post. Let us know if you've got the game. And that would be, I like what Joe says here. First weed, then smoke jumpers. That sounds like a module add-on, Joe. Well, that sounds absolutely correct. There you go. Exactly. So what the game we're going to talk about is, we're going to talk about the Battle for Armageddon. So again, this just recently released. Here's the cover. Also, I want to take a moment just to show here. We've got the back cover of the game for those that own the game yet. We'll talk about how many players for the game. We'll get into solitaire suitability. We'll talk about general concept of play, scenarios. We're going to cover the groundworks of the game. But just to let you know, from our website here, you can definitely pull up some of the graphics. We did a mounted map board with very large pieces for the game as well. Trust me, these are very big hexes. These are very manly size hexes we have on the map, and sample counter sheet there for you as well. So again, just a little taste. There's 2 counter sheets total, but again, and then here you can see the sales pitch on the game. Battle of Armageddon is a 2 to 6 player game foretold by the Bible prophecies. And I know quite a bit about this game actually because of Consum World Expo. became the loudest game ever played at Console World Expo. So we have a nice ballroom, right? We've got the nice ballroom where you're hawking your wares, your SPI wrecking crew. You got all, you're making all this money. You're flush with cash. Yeah, about 250 people in there, whatever. Then in the little foyer, walkway area, at night, people want to let loose, right? Sort of like the weed concept Joe's talking about here. So Joe gets the drift here. And I think there were people from the expo. You had like a group of people that would play Armageddon with you, right?
Yes, there's a gang of guys called the Black Dogs that play a lot of alt history games. John and Barry and Mike and Clayton. Hope I got you all. Armageddon's a favorite of theirs as well.
But literally, I think you had 6 guys. Did you always have 6 guys total?
Oh yeah, we routinely grabbed 6 players quite quickly, and Pavwa was also one of them.
So why was it so loud for people that don't know Pay, for example? What makes people like start screaming? Because not every table, trust me, has like screaming going on. Or what is it about the game that, or is it just that it's expo, it's late at night, people are delirious, or?
It's just, I mean, it's a crazy game. There is such crazy, events happening, and all this is in the Book of Revelation, and whether you believe it or not, I'm not going there. It's in there, and you've got vials and trumpets and seals and oceans turning to blood, and there's all sorts of stuff happening, and chaos is happening. I mean, the game in a sense is a bit of a king of the hill, because whoever owns Jerusalem at the end of the game wins. So everybody is in there like a dirty shirt, and there's no whole bar. Yeah.
Now, can you explain the game system? Yeah, I'm sorry. The game system, the general tenets of play, because I know there's cards. I know there's cards in there. How many players? How it's set up to be played if you have multiple players, etc.
It's basically a 2 to 6 players, so it's a multiplayer game. Mm-hmm. There are short scenarios so that you can play small portions of the battle, like for example, the Kings of the East with their 200 million man army are coming in from the Euphrates, and the Europeans are the only ones left to fight them, or other scenarios. But the campaign game pits all 6 sides against each other: Israel, Arabs, USA, Russia, and China against each other for control of the Middle East. It's gone through various iterations over the years, but it kind of picked up on a Fortress America style game, Axis and Allies Fortress America. Very simple. Roll the dice. If the image on the dice matches the attacking piece, you score a hit. And then you've got all these cards that you collect, which have nuclear weapons and special powers if you're the Antichrist or Magog.
Does it have like the locusts in there, like for that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the locusts come in and kill all the air units. Or the
that makes sense. Sadly, it makes sense. Locusts kill all the air units.
Or hailstones kill everybody in the desert, and it's.
Oh my gosh, we got folks starting to ask about the murder hornets here, and Angel of Death passing over.
Angel of Death. Well, I'd have to check the cards, but certainly the 4 seals are in there. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Oh wow! Jeez. Okay, we got the whole show. Okay. Yeah. Well, let me back up. Let me just back up for a second. So I know we got more details, but I shouldn't skip over or gloss over how quickly you went from design to publication with this game. Literally, like if we're talking biblical proportions, isn't like 30 years? Isn't 30 years like it's not
exactly.
Even a snap. So
you remember I said I started designing games as a teenager?
Yep.
Well, this was one of them. I grew up. Long story short, I grew up in the Pentecostal church, so I was kind of taught a lot of this stuff. Read Hal Lindsey, Late Great Planet Earth, and I was in there, and I thought, this would make a an amazing war game. So I kind of dived into that. Moved on later in life. I kind of left the church as a university student, the Pentecostal church. But I still was kind of involved in this, and yeah, I designed this game and it went through various iterations. I submitted it at one time to GDW. They didn't even respond. They just sent it back. SPI.
Who did you submit it to first? Was it SPI? Was it SPI you submitted?
I sent it to GDW first, and then I sent it to
first.
SPI.
Okay.
SPI was interested, but they said if there was any mention of the Bible or Hal Lindsey or the end of the world, they'd flatly reject it. And then, okay, it was starting to get the message. Later on, XTR started coming out with all these alt history games. I thought, hey, maybe there's a shot there. And I actually got Ty Bomba interested, and they feedback the game there. And Ty was he was like amazed because the feedback came back all zeros or nines. There was nothing in between. Either people wanted it badly or they hated the idea. So yeah, it was it didn't quite work out with Ty. Nothing. Just he wanted to go a different direction than what I wanted. But anyway, later on, I published it through the Micro Game Design Group at One Form.
What was that? 2012 or what year do you think?
Oh no, that was 1998 was the first edition.
Oh really? Oh, this really okay. Wow, yeah. That's amazing. Well, this
then,
really goes back.
Then it kind of went on the back burner, and then I was in a toy store once or a game store once, and I was looking at the walls of games, and there's Risk 2010, and there was Axis and Allies, but there was no war games anymore. So I thought, oh shoot, maybe I'm missing the boat. Maybe I should try to design one of these. So I turned, I took the Battle of Armageddon and turned it into one of these designs. And
it's amazing how many years you spent on this game. I mean,
it was kind of a little pet project for so long. And for what it's worth, I'm telling this story. It's going to be published in Paper Wars 98, so you can hear the whole story behind the game. So
that's right. That's going to be a very interesting story. I got a sneak peek of the draft you submitted for it. That really goes through the whole history and genesis. Oh, there we go. The genesis of your design. It actually has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? So, somebody asked earlier about the rules for Armageddon. So yes, I will add them. I will add those to the website. But just as an FYI, there is a back door to get to these rules. They're posted online right now. So just to show you here quickly. I'm here on the actual rules page where you can, basically what you just would click on the arrows, takes you through the rules. You can see the cards here. We've got Gog and Magog. got some funny cards here already. 100 million people. You get 2 reinforcements for 100 million people. There you go, right? Unfortunately, you got those nuclear weapons going off, although I do like those locusts. The idea of those locusts sounds pretty cool. We got some great images, how to play the game. So again, pretty straightforward stuff here. So the rules are available online. And just to let everybody know, when you see this web viewer, there's always in the where we have the compass logo in the top left. You're going to look for that arrow that's sort of hiding. That's our little master key. You have to know the secret code word to download the PDF. You just got to find that link and you'll get the PDF download. But the way you get the rules right now until tomorrow when I post the rules on the website is if you go to Kickstarter, just do a search for Battle of Armageddon or Armageddon. You'll find the page once you've done your search and then just scroll near the bottom. So we're going down here. Had a great Kickstarter, Kerry, for your game. Shows some nice views here of the game and some other information. We have a video posted as well. And we have your video posted on our website that introduces the game. But if I scroll down here to the bottom, check out the full rules here. So the back door for those asking, I want to see the rules right now. I want to see them right now and even download them as a PDF. Just use the Kickstarter back door, and that will get you to this. And then you'll be able to see all the rules. And again, it's a really fun game. But now people always ask this question, which totally makes sense to me. Even though it's advertised as 2 to 6, people want to know, and people have the game now, so can this game be played solitaire? Can you talk about that a little bit for us?
I'm finding out, actually, by people who bought the game already that, yes, it can be played solitaire. Uh, yeah, there is card play. I mean, obviously it's hidden cards and whatnot, but generally it's a lot of kind of just managing random events. And then when you think about it, if you're playing 6 sides, you quickly lose track of who has what card anyway. So you can quickly play the game.
I lose track just with my cards when I play a game. So six, six.
This isn't. I have to admit, I don't play the card-driven games like Distant Plane and whatnot. I don't know to what degree, but my understanding is you have to collect cards, and your whole strategy might be dependent on the cards you're holding. This is less so in Armageddon. It's more kind of shoot from the hip. Kind of you draw a card. Oh, nukes! They'll drop it. I'll play it. Or you pick an apocalyptic card and, oh no.
Yeah. So it's not like limited intelligence for card play. It's not like card driven where the cards, you really want to keep that as hidden intelligence and really strategize for each side around the card. It's really sort of you're playing the cards as part of the interaction and you just go for it basically.
Yeah.
How would you describe the strategy in the game? So if I was going to be a successful player in this game, let's go with the 6-player mode. Why not? We'll pretend we're at a convention or we're playing when we have Vassal available in the future. So how would you break out strategies? What would make a successful player in this game? And is it different by what side you're playing as well?
Well, certainly. The way the game is, I mean, the thing is there is a game-ending card in there. And so that game-ending card could be close to the top of the deck or it could be very far away. And certain sides want the card to come up quickly. So they're playing as like Israel, Arabs, they're going through as many cards as they can. Well, other sides, for example, the Kings of the East, because they've got to enter the map and cross the map, they want as few cards being played. So they want to try to stall the game as much as possible.
How can you stall the game? How can you stall the game?
By not drawing cards or negotiating or forcing players to not draw cards and stuff like that.
Interesting. So you have to try to influence not getting people to draw. Okay,
interesting. But otherwise it's a game where it's who can best manage chaos, because it's a very chaotic game. And you have to be able to react quickly when you see the opportunities rise. It's a very bloody game. Lots
really?
So the best
I never would have known, given the cards you've mentioned.
Is to get alliances and get your allies to do all the fighting for you.
That's the secret. Have somebody else do the dirty work. I get it. Okay. Where have I heard of that before?
Well, it's going to be the end of the world, so friendships, it don't matter anymore, right?
All right, so there is strategy involved then, even for the site as you mentioned. And then could you explain for those that might not be able to get 6 players together online or in person, how does it work for less players? Like, do you offer scenarios and options if you can't get 6 people together?
Well, I mean, the game is really kind of the centerpiece is the campaign game, and but you can divvy up those sides up into alliances so that, for example, the Europeans and Americans can go in as one side, and then the East and the Arabs could be another side, and all of a sudden you're down to 3 players already, and Israel, as well as the U.S. and Europeans. You can quickly reduce it down to a very small scale, or you can expand it to the large scale. But there are 4 separate battle games that involve just 2 or 3 players. So if you don't have all 6 players, you can play these short battle games, and they're very entertaining as well. I really enjoy them.
So Mo says it's like religious diplomacy with more combat and cooler events.
There you go. Yeah, Mo's my best friend. He's my new best friend. He did a very good.
So Mo's gonna do all our taglines. Although somebody had a tagline about weed earlier, 6 guys and 6 this and or 6 dice. So we've got some copywriters, I think, that are here with us, and thanks Vex for thinking about getting the game. And like I said, you can look at the rules for yourself to get a better idea. And just speaking as an event organizer, and also for the virtual events, like anybody doing historical events. I know we have Armchair Dragoons, and we have San Diego Historicon, and Mo's game table. Mo helps a lot. Maurice Fitzgerald helps a ton. So a lot of events happening convention wise, and this would be, I don't know if you'd call it a tournament game, but I bet it's just a fantastic game to get 6 people on like a voice channel playing the game. We just have to make, obviously we just have to get that Vassal. I think we have to get that Vassal module out to make that happen. But yes, Erwin, absolutely. I meant to say tobacco. Did I say weed? Did I
Oh man, there's a
Joe.
going
Yes, he said tobacco. I may have misread that. So there you go. So
there's a definite theme going
but
here.
a great fun game. So you've done a lot of designs. So how many designs? And I guess I should ask, like, maybe is there a difference between how many games you've had published versus not published? I don't know. I don't know the best way to ask that question, but I know in Board Game Geek you have quite a few credits.
I have to admit, I guess I'm a bit of a lone wolf. I guess I found a way of publishing my own games and publishing the way I want them to be published.
Yeah.
And so I've been producing it through the Micro Game Design Group. I don't sell a lot, but it's very rewarding to see the games being sold and see them done in the way I want them done. Which is kind of the angle I come from. Back in the day, it was actually Brian Train and I, as well as John Kula. We started the Micro Game Design Group, and the idea was to provide a simple and quick means of doing desktop published games. Through the MDG, we were able to bring in a lot of new designers because we kind of opened the door to send me your game. I'll kind of clean it up and make it look presentable, and we'll make it available.
Wasn't Paul Robaugh, who does High Flying Dice games, same idea?
Yeah, he published. Yeah, I got him started.
There you go.
He's copied. He's followed in my footsteps. Very good for him.
Now, would you say you played a mentor role for anybody since you were designing so much already? Did you help new designers since you were doing, with your experience? What was your experience like taking it on your own? I think the Ellis die cutter had come out. You were exploring, finding ways to really get DTP going. What was that experience like? Did you share your experience with others? Because there's obviously more DTP publishers came out of the woodwork.
Well, certainly the early days, the first round of desktop publishing games, I was accepting a lot of outside designers, and I was, in a way, I was kind of coaching them along, helping them make their games presentable. And the people had sent me, hand-drawn maps and rules that needed a lot of editing. But it was able to kind of negotiate with these guys and work out together how to come up with a final product that came out. And I think we came out with about 36 or 39 games through the MDG before I ended up, I guess I kind of burnt out there for a while, and I had to color quit. So I went and back to school, did my PhD. But I got back involved later and just kind of focused on my own games after that.
And Jerry joins us on YouTube. Thanks for joining us tonight, Jerry. Yes, he makes an interesting, or has a question, or he hopes the game ends with as many friends as you started with, because the games like I don't think, my sense from Expo is this game doesn't have the, or at least it's all in jest. It seems to be always in jest. I mean, I guess it's because it's so bloody and crazy and hysterical what's happening. Basically, it's just it's like your worst nightmare foobar happening in front of you, but everybody's just laughing it up the whole time. So it never seems to get. It never really. I mean, I guess I've seen Pav like stare people in the face, 2 inches away to challenge them. Right? How dare you play that card? I can picture him doing that, but I think it's all in good jest. I don't think it has that. Component, that backstabbing, nasty, somebody's going to get really upset with you component to it. I think it just seems to be more in good jest. What do you think?
I'm not a very good diplomacy player. And a lot of it gets, I think in diplomacy can be taken personal when somebody gets stabbed in the back.
Yeah. I thought you were my friend. You said you were going to support me with that fleet. I can't believe you did that. One time my dad was playing and somebody in high school, my dad backstabbed my friend in high school, and I said, let me get my dad on the phone so you guys can talk, and he hung up on my dad. It didn't end well.
Oh dear. No, Armageddon's just like you're constantly pulling the rug out from underneath your buddies. I mean, that's every turn is like that.
Yeah, and I think Mo's right. It's sort of like one of those trash talking, fun, poke your friend in the ribs. And again, I mean, people were virtually yelling and laughing and screaming and at the expo playing it. So something makes it work where it's not overly serious. That people are having fun.
And if I may, one surprising thing is, I mean, the game does have a religious theme, but it doesn't try to preach. It doesn't try to mock. It really kind of goes right down the middle. Just presents it and it's just a game. And I've had, these crowds at Concert World. I've had atheists playing on one side against, devout Christians on the other, and they're both having a great time playing the game. I mean,
So is that how you would explain your approach as a designer to this game over the years? It was actually a very serious, studied.
It was a very non-partisan, kind of approach to the topic. It's as I said, it's not preaching, it's not mocking. It's really kind of right down the middle, and people have enjoyed it. People kind of appreciate me covering this game topic, while others just think this is completely absurd, but they're still having a blast playing it. So,
I want to ask you next, Kerry, with all the designs you've done, and this can include non-published games. What, in your own heart, is your favorite game of yours that you've designed? Which one has special memories for you?
Man, depends on which day of the week it is. I guess the game I'm probably most proud of, if I might say that, is probably my Cuban Missile Crisis game. I was really surprised that I was able to pull it off, and it's kind of a unique game. It's got cards in it, but it's not card driven, because as the American player, you have all the options. You've got all 20 cards in front of you, and you have to choose what strategy you employ. And it's unique in the sense that you can sit down and play the game against your opponent, move like about 2 counters over the course of 2 hours, and then come out, say, that was a great game, thanks, and shake hands at the end. I mean, to be able to pull that off is just really quite a if I'm allowed to pat myself on the back.
Cuban Missile Crisis.
We even had a team play, actually, at Concert World once, and that was a hoot, too. We had a team of guys being the Americans and a team of guys being the communists, and they had to debate which cards to play. And
that is an interesting. That's an interesting thought. Wow. Okay, like multiplayer squared, huh?
I think Rob Bottas was Curtis LeMay, and he went in and did some bombing. But it's a fun game.
That's a neat idea. A team play for each side, divvying up each side with a team of players. That's a very cool idea. Okay, let me flip.
A buddy of mine, Bruce McFarlane, actually used that in his high school class. Bruce McFarlane was what was that, Canadian? There was a group in Alberta, out of Calgary. I forgot, the Canadian design group. They were really involved in World in Flames. But Bruce used it in his high school class. He had the boys against the girls.
Oh, there's some fun. All right, there you go.
Girls blew up the world, but anyway.
Well, let me ask you this. So we talked about your favorite game. Which game do you found, for you personally, was the greatest design challenge? One you thought, oh, this was just a tough to design, develop. It was just had some challenges you weren't maybe expecting along the way. I'm just curious. Besides the challenge of seeing Armageddon published by an outside publisher, I know it took 30 years, but from a design standpoint, which would you say was burned the most brain cells on there, Kerry?
Well, I'd probably rate the Cuban Missile Crisis up there. Maybe a second might be that NATO 1961. I decided to do a NATO game following similar lines to Cuban Missile Crisis, a little bit more kind of immediate, but the idea was, instead of the Cuban Missile Crisis, we had the Berlin Crisis, where the storyline was you had all these refugees escaping to East Berlin, and as the communists, they had to do something. Ultimately, they built a wall, And ultimately, Kennedy said, okay.
Yeah.
But it could have gone a lot worse than that.
Yeah.
There were
Yes, that's true.
20-year-old kids with sweating fingers in tanks pointing guns at each other across Checkpoint Charlie.
Yeah.
One false move, and
Yep.
you would have had World War III. So that's what this game sort of covers. And
What was that? What was that title again? NATO 1991 was the title.
1961.
Sorry, 61, of course. Yeah, it was in the 60s.
1961.
Okay, and who was that public? Was that your MDG or was it?
Yeah, it's just MDG. Yes.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much. Let me see if anybody has any final questions for Kerry. I think, is there anything I didn't ask you about Armageddon? I know we talked about gameplay, solitaire. I think we talked about the scenarios. There's multiple scenarios, correct? And you can divvy up the team. The game system, we've got cards, but it's not like card driven, so it could even work solitaire. How's the game turn constructed? Is it through the card play, or how does the players interact as far as taking turns? What decisions, or what's the typical flow of play in a given game turn?
It's basically you draw at the beginning of your turn. You draw, you get rid of any cards you don't want. Then you draw up to a 3-card limit. Then it's reinforcements, movement, combat. But the cards often will change the player order, or it may give you another card that allows you to repeat your turn, or you might get an apocalyptic card that cancels your turn.
Oh, that would not be good.
Oh, that's nasty. Yeah,
I've nasty. Well, it sounds like got a lot of wild and crazy things. Those random events sound pretty brutal. That's going on there. Pretty brutal. I was going to ask you too, as far as the future for you, Kerry. What designs are you working on? Any current designs or any plans or anything you'd like to design in the future? I think some people, I'll have to find it. Some folks were asking you. We're going to ask you about certain game topics, so I'm going to see if I can find them. I'll try my best, but I'm curious what you've got in the works, if anything. Perhaps you can share.
I guess my areas of interest kind of come down to science fiction games. As well as World War I is a topic that I'm really interested in, and Cold War. I think I might have done the Cold War out, but I've kind of been doing World War I topics. Years ago, I published a game on Ypres 1914, which was the first Battle of Ypres. I took that system just recently and reapplied it and came up with the Battle of Liège, attacking the fort. No, not 7 Years' War. I'm sorry, I haven't tried that.
And if you were interested in that period or not, but it doesn't sound like it aligns with your area of interest.
I guess the roots, Canadian heritage. The World War I is very close to the Canadian hearts.
Yes,
the mines, Vimy Ridge, and stuff like that. So it's a topic of interest of me. So I took the Battle of Liège as a second topic. I'm actually looking at the Russo-Japanese War, Battle of Mukden. Nice. I know Ty Bomba beat me to the punch, though, I think. But I'm expanding it to cover Liao Yang and Sha Ho. So it's a series of battles leading up to Mukden. Again, using the same system as Ypres 1914, Liège 1914, and Mukden. And from there, I thought maybe I might do some other World War I topics, perhaps Tannenberg or Amiens.
I love Tannenberg. I love the Tannenberg battle. Yeah. I always enjoyed that one. Here's a question for you from Erwin Sachs. He received your counters for Federation Space. Is there a possibility of Compass picking up the game? I will look into it, Erwin. I'll mention something about title proposals here in a second at the conclusion of the show, actually. So I'll hold that thought because there's some questions coming in about other ideas.
Yeah.
Here's one interesting from Biss. The real battle on Megiddo Valley.
Oh, yeah. Allenby against the Turks. That might be interesting. The scale of these Great War battles that I'm kind of focusing on are kind of regimental brigades. So I can't do large battles like the Marne very well, but smaller battles. Maybe
this one, I don't know if the Brusilov offensive, would this one fit that scale?
Too big.
That's operational level. So
yeah, it's yeah. Anyway, the system kind of uses a kind of a different fight move fight system. Oh, science fiction games. Yes, I'm trying to wrap up the Final Frontier right now. Actually, hopefully it'll be out in the summer.
Fantastic, fantastic. So
Yeah,
many
there
so
you go.
with all the work you're doing and all these titles, how do can we best keep track of all the different designs and self-publishing and things you're doing
Yeah.
right now? What's the best way to keep track or find out?
I guess just you can always send me emails, but I'm off. I've got there's folders on Concert World.
Yeah. And on the
For
news desk, we do announce on the news desk when you've got a new release,
Yeah,
etc. So we can
yeah.
definitely do that.
That's primarily the way. I'm on a number of Facebook groups, but MDG doesn't have a group page or anything like that.
Okay. So how have you enjoyed doing all these designs? Like with your life, with your career, what you've done? Oh, and we did mention, we talked about your career a little bit
Yeah.
in meteorology. In meteorology, I believe that's
Yes.
your PhD in meteorology.
Yeah, actually, that's an interesting point because my career, for the most part, is designing computer models of physical processes.
Mhm.
I've come up with fire growth models simulating how a fire will spread across a landscape. Currently, I'm involved in predicting smoke plumes and how and the method of creating a model on the computer is very much similar to creating a war game simulation. You're trying to put all those puzzle pieces together. You're trying to get these interactions going to properly simulate a battle or a fire going across a landscape. And in that sense, kind of smoke jumpers is blending of the two.
That's very cool. That's a cool concept. You took your career and really smoke jumpers encompasses your professional
Yeah,
background.
not too many people have that opportunity. It
That's
was a fun.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Board Game Bloke asks over on YouTube. You're in Flanders Field, which was published by Moments in History. The second Ypres
yes.
published 1950.
That's that.
That
That's
was another important
certainly
battle.
certainly. I've considered redesigning that game and republishing it using this new system. So
Oh, great.
actually, very much there's similarities to the old system. It's
And
kind of
is
the next
Smoke Jumper still available for purchase
Oh,
from
absolutely, of course.
MDG? It's still available.
Yes, of
Great.
course.
Wonderful. Absolutely. And you're giving a special. Everybody has to pay double for
Yeah, sure, sure.
putting up with us here. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's special. You buy two for twice the price.
There you go. There you go. We got a lot of suggestions coming through now, so let's see what
Oh,
we got here. So Bill Wood says Simone Crisis of
oh,
1889 would be an interesting little game with a game ending card.
okay. I'm not familiar.
Have to research that one, I think, right?
Okay.
And then here's somebody saying, yeah. And then there's another one here. I'm sorry, that's this one right here. But is this?
Oh, 1908. Yeah, maybe that should have been a card in the game.
So it's, I think that's in reference to what Mo's saying
Thank
here
you.
about
Yes.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Flanders Field was definitely absolutely. And then somebody said the rules about the gas mechanics in the game were
Yeah,
quite neat.
those need to be. Yeah, that was an interesting approach. I would probably redesign that particular thing.
So
Again,
like
based on
more
my
streamlined or
experience. Just more knowledge about meteorology and the atmospheric dispersion. I could probably do
oh, well,
better.
there you go. Well, okay,
Yeah,
apply your science. There you go. Makes
yeah, I
sense.
would probably build proper windroses and stuff. Yeah, not so much 48. I've considered 1956,
Okay.
as well as maybe doing the 73, Yom Kippur War in a similar sort of crisis approach. But yeah, there's a lot of Yom Kippur games out there.
There you
Uh,
go.
okay, well maybe I
Getting
should
a
get
thumbs
started.
up. The orders are coming out.
Okay.
So again, I just want to take a moment just to remind everybody, Battle Armageddon. It shipped just a few weeks ago. People have been receiving the game, and we're really excited. The game is released, and looks like in 2 issues. We're 2 issues away from Paper Wars, where people can read the whole lineage and and designer story from you, Kerry, about how the game came to be, at least how it landed, being published by Compass, and all the things that transpired, starting from the early days. Yep, I'm gonna go. But yep, you got a question there.
I haven't seen the questions coming by, but I'm a little bit heartbroken that nobody asked. What's my favorite episode?
Favorite episode of Trekkie, Star Trek? That's a good question. I am not a Trekkie, unfortunately, so I cannot even phrase the proper question to you. So we're talking about the original. So
Of course.
what about the
None
other?
none of this next generation.
Yeah, but that's like a module in a game. You got these modules and
that's gotta be the
add-ons,
original
and like the
series.
Blitzkrieg thing we were talking about. Blitzkrieg was an
Yeah.
add-on. You got a bay named after you.
Maybe I could get a planet named after me. Yeah.
See, I don't know. See, I can't
No,
even.
no. The Doomsday Machine. Oh, the Balance of Terror was a good one. Yeah.
So you like Balance of Terror too?
Oh yeah, yeah. Mirror, mirror, Balance of Terror. No, not the Trouble with Tribbles. That's nonsense. That Doomsday Machine. Exactly. I love that, where he sets it for a 30-second timer on the to blow up the ship, and it lasts for 2.5 minutes. The scene.
Really? Okay, I'm gonna have to watch the episode. I mean, I like Star Trek. I just didn't get into the that mode where you get immersed in something and you like watch it nonstop and binging, whatever. I just never got there. But yeah, no, we got people commenting on these. I'm sure these are titles. I don't know about this one. Is this a title?
Amok Time, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Do 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 do.
So can you give your critique to Amok Time? What would be your critique of that episode?
Oh, that was one of the finest. Yeah, certainly.
Yes. Okay. What about this one?
No, I agree. There was we have a space channel in Canada way back when, and for New Year's Day they asked people to send in their favorite, the request for their favorite episodes. And I started watching, and they didn't tell you what the next one was going to be, and it just kept on getting better and better. And, oh, that was the best day in the.
What about a synopsis on Guardians of Time? Any opinion of that episode?
Ooh, was that the one with the globes? I can't remember that one.
Okay, well, I don't know if this was an episode or not.
Oh yeah, the Nazis in space. I always find those shows ironic when they have people like Leonard Nimoy, a Jew, dressed as an SS soldier.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, wow. Okay.
Wow.
That's different.
Yeah.
How about Philip's choice?
The City on the Edge of Forever, certainly. That was a Harlan Ellison story. There's actually a YouTube episode where they portray the original storyline that Harlan Ellison sent in to Gene Roddenberry. Harlan just hated what Gene Roddenberry did to that episode.
How about Ray's pick of Day of the Metron?
Day of the Metrons. Okay, now I'm showing I'm not remembering all of these episodes. Piece of the action. Oh yeah, a piece of the action.
So we got some Trekkies.
Go on forever. Okay,
I'm gonna have to sell Trekkie shirts. This has become the. But this happens when we do our episodes, and people know this that have joined here with Bill. Yes, we are prone to find our tangents. We have found many, starting with Applebee's restaurant through various different things. Yes, we go all over. So the episode was based on The Enemy Below. I think that's the question when you weren't sure about that one. Forgot the title, but
was that the one with the Horka that kind of
the globe? Maybe that was the globe one.
No, it crawled through. It cut through rock. Was made of silicon. Yeah, Requiem for Methuselah. Yes, that was the one where the guy had lived for 40.
All right, so we got a lot of Trekkies. I'm impressed. I vouch all the Trekkies out there. I just do not know them all, so I'm going to be a horrible moderator on Trekkie stuff. I'm not qualified to that. But hey, Kerry, it was wonderful to have you tonight. It was great. Not a lot of people know you already, of course, and your great designs. And Armageddon just makes me. My head fills with hearing laughter and screaming for the game. So I'm really happy it worked out. Or I know we talked at Expo about maybe give Compass a chance to publish it, and
sure.
I'm glad it worked out. So
yeah, it did. It turned out really well. I'm really pleased. Thank you very much,
Kerry. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much. I hope to have you again soon sometime. And it was a pleasure to have you tonight. I'm going to let you go ahead and get back to your early dinner or whatever you have. Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you very much.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. So it's great to have Kerry on. I did want to just mention a few things quickly, just for quick updates. So a few things that I wanted to update you on. First of all, we put out a call for volunteers. So we actually have a Google form. We simply use a Google form that we're going to update as we have projects where we can use some volunteers. Again, strictly volunteer is what we have. We can't offer, unfortunately, the pay money. What we typically do, if we have play testers or proofing going on, we basically find maybe the top contributor and we gift the game. But we're starting to do more and more of that. We've done it with Enemy Action Kharkov, with Korean War. We've got it going on right now with Schutztruppe. I've got overwhelmed by the response for proofing the Third World War series. So if anybody's online tonight wondering when the proofing is going to start for Third World War series, I'm going to try to get the site launched tomorrow for everybody who volunteered, so we can start the proofing of the standard rules. So I just want to mention that briefly. And also, I did want to mention, I was remiss in mentioning, so I'm going to share the screen again. If you go to the news section of the site, so I'm going to click on news on our website, and you'll see the first news story right here. Is I want to just remind everybody, especially if you weren't on last week, we recently launched, and I think it's now on the Consum World news site as well, that Compass has 2 games as March specials. So Triumph of the Will, which is by Ty Bomba, is on sale. It's $30. So it's on sale for about 65% off, I believe. So you would pay $30 and you would be saving $39. So it's normally $69. And then Lebensraum is actually was a new edition of a Stefan Newberg game from Simulations Canada, if you're all familiar with that one. And Lebensraum, which is normally priced $99, is, as you can see here, is available for just $45. So that one's more of an even split of 50% off, and Triumph of the Will has a bit of a deeper discount level if you look at the price savings. But I did want to mention that we have those 2 games available, and again, just to let you know, I'll be posting more information about projects. We have some new projects coming up. We're going to be looking for some volunteers from. I realize from our website we don't have any social links, so we don't have links right now to our Facebook page where some of you might be joining us from, or from YouTube channel where you're joining us from tonight. So we realize we need to add the Facebook, YouTube links, etc., a link to our Discord channel, so on and so forth. So there still is an effort underway to do the next phase of the website edition. So I just want to make you aware of that. Just some quick news about projects as well. I announced last week that Korean War was officially at the printer next week. That's also why it bumped up in the schedule a little bit. Also, for the fans of Gregory Smith's games, we have somebody who's been working with Greg on Interceptor Ace 2, so later in the war. And right now we're actually going through and doing a graphic proofing check of all the components for the game, short of the rule booklet. So those wondering about what's the status of some of the follow-on titles for Interceptor Ace, etc., we've got Interceptor Ace 2. That's really gone far along in the process. So we're going to be probably looking for some proofreaders of that fairly soon. As we get the pass, we get the green light on the materials. So just want to let you know about that. Hopefully we'll get an artist freed up soon for Spitfire Ace, because a lot of people are asking about Spitfire Ace as well. Some good news on the Ardennes front. I feel like we haven't talked about Bulge in a while, so except for Enemy Action Ardennes, of course, which is an extremely popular title. But Hitler's Last Gamble by Danny Parker. So this is really so much effort's gone into this game. So we officially can announce that all the counter sheets and all the game maps, all that work is now complete. So it's all done. So we're moving on now to the displays, player aid cards, and then the rules will be last. So we hit a big milestone with Hitler's Last Gamble. Last week we added another counter sheet, one full counter sheet of additional markers to make sure that for players we would not be short of markers for play. And that's one thing at Compass we're always looking out for, to make sure there's always enough counters or markers for the game. We did the same for Aaron Armour from Bruce Maxwell. He requested a half sheet to have additional markers that are needed. And actually some of the marker ideas came up from a Vassal module used for playtesting, where the author of the Vassal module, not the designer Bruce Maxwell, but actually Kevin Conway, who did the Vassal module, he created some new game markers that didn't exist for the game originally. And Bruce loved the idea of these game markers for additional housekeeping. So we've actually added, well, I was going to say we added a half sheet. I told Bruce to go ahead and make it a full counter sheet. So we're going to have some counter spares. So Bruce is going to look at counters, which ones are really important to have in case the dog chews it or the vacuum gets to it, vacuum cleaner gets to it. We're just going to go to a full counter sheet on Iron Armor, and we're going to be introducing those new game markers as well that were born from this Vassal module. So I don't know how many of you are interested in just like flash updates on projects versus like the show and tell version of games, but I know we had a lot of questions about projects last week, so I thought I'd just give you some snap updates on those projects. Of course, there's many other projects being worked on as well, and then we'll cover those in our town hall meeting next Thursday. So again, definitely want to thank everybody for being here with us for episode 51. For those that joined for the first time, thank you so much for being here. And we're really excited to welcome you back next week. We'll be joined with Bill Thomas, same time next week. And again, we look forward to taking your questions. And of course, we'll be giving away a free game as well to some lucky person. So we look forward to doing that as well. So once again, everybody, I hope you have a great end of your week. Have a good weekend, and I will see you all next Thursday. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.